Hello again. This is part 2. I ended the last one by saying, if I'm talking about something that you don't know anything about, something that you don't know anything about, then on what basis can you say anything about it? And on what basis can you argue against my words and against what I'm saying? Right? If you don't know anything about something, how can you input or how can you argue about it? Think about it. That's wrong. That's not logical. That's not intelligence. Nicea, Nicea, began in 325 AD. And I want to tell y'all something. AD does not mean after death. AD means Anno Demini. That's A-N-N-O D-E-M-I-N-I. Anno Demini. Not after death. The Roman Catholic Ecumenical Council that created Jesus. Now, if any of y'all run away at that word, you're just a fucking chicken shit. You're not an American either. You're just a chicken shit dumbass. There is research literature by a lot of different people. Ray Hagins, H-A-G-I-N-S, Ph.D., and members of censored publications, and there is many of them out there, but people are too lazy, they won't do the research. Does anyone know of the term child of Ethiopia? Timet, T-I-M-E-T, I believe is how you spell it. It might have two M's, but I think it's T-I-M-E-T, or T-E-M-I-M-E-T, or M-I-T. Timet. This has to do with modern Abyssinia and ancient Himyaritic of Arabia about 7,000 years ago. And the Gregorian calendar, AFK, the first African calendar, a calendar for Egypt, made for Egypt after the founding of Timet, over 7,000 years ago. Before this was the people of Hutu and Twa, and they date back about 400,000 years. I'm talking black Egyptians, dating back over 400,000 years. We'll get into some serious stuff here, folks. Don't run away. Don't be afraid. It's truth. Don't be afraid of the truth. Don't shun it. Don't block it out of your mind. Listen to it, and if you don't understand it, you have a problem accepting or believing it, then do a little checking on your own before you slam that door to you and keep yourself in a state of ignorance. In order for those who have been misled to begin to see correctly, they must have a clear analytical understanding of the origin, the strategies, the mechanics, the purpose, and the methods of any device that has blinded them in the first place. In order for those who have been misled to begin to see correctly, they must have a clear analytical understanding of the origin, the strategies, the mechanics, the purpose, and the methods of the device that has blinded them in the first place. Understanding and be strong enough to realize that we don't see and think correctly. We see what we have been given to see, trained by others what to see and what to believe. And these others who trained us, educated us on what to see, how to see it, what to believe of it, they're not our friends, folks. You have to identify the device that has blinded you to truth. You've got to identify the device. You've got to find the origin of it. You've got to identify it from within yourself by connecting dots that you hear from truthers here and truthers there, and there's not many of us left who give you the whole story. Who and why we have been miseducated. You need to know who's miseducated us and why they miseducated us. About a lot of things, not just the single topic that I'm going to be getting into. You've got to identify the methods that has been used to blind you. The number one method that has been used to implement the strategies and the design to miseducate humanity is religion. Why didn't those of all the lies and all the deception use some other method? Like economics. Why didn't they use economics to control our minds? Let me tell you why. It's because most people of average or above intellect are not so materialistic and not capitalist by nature. They used religion as their tool because by nature we are or were spiritual people who are prone to think on things that pertain to God. So things that pertain to God, superstition, fear, subjection to greater powers like the Creator, these things are planned out and put into us. Most are or were attracted to things pertaining to God, as we are believed is the ultimate creator, and so because of our attraction to God stuff, those who control history and education have used that very thing that man is attracted to as their tool, their device, to snare men's minds and incarcerate our minds until we have become dysfunctional and mentally powerless. This is the result of European concepts. This is the result of European concepts to dominate and control the minds and the spirits of all races of man. The seated cultural pride of European concepts is the strategies behind racial issues yesterday and today. What did we get from Europeans? Child molestation, taxation without representation, everything bad. When black Egyptians went white, that's when the issues began. The ecumenical councils of Rome were legally convened assemblies of the ecclesiastical dignitaries and theological experts, or so-called experts. They're the ones who create the fiction and the mesmerize and mind control sentences and phrases. And they were of the Roman Catholic Church, who worships the beast, who worships the serpent, the reptilian, for the express purpose of discussing and regulating matters of the church doctrine and discipline. Now this is what these councils, this is what these I can say the word one time, then can't say it the next time. The ecclesiastical dignitaries and theological experts, this is what they used. They wrote down the rules for church doctrine and discipline when they took over religion. Over 20 such councils were convened between 325 and 1870 AD. They created actual laws and teachings and doctrines, or what we had to believe, as well as what questions we should never ask and what we better not say, even if we're thinking it. The cause of the Nicea Council is the first European Pharaoh. Now I'm going to get into something that y'all just don't know anything about, and then if any of you do, then I congratulate you or salute you for having some sense. The first European Pharaoh was Ptolemy I. Julius Caesar and Cleopatra the Seventh. Cleopatra the Seventh was the last of the Ptolemy pharaohs. But Ptolemy the First, Soter, S-O-T-E-R. Ptolemy, he ruled from 367 to 283 BCE. That's our estimated time. But anyway, that is before 367 to 283 BCE. Coins were made with his image. His name, Soter, means Savior. We're talking the first European pharaoh, Ptolemy the First, Soter, and his name, this Soter word, means Savior. Soteriology, the doctrine and the study of the salvation. And the pharaohs of Egypt were called gods. Kings, pharaohs, gods. I told y'all in a video before, Julius Caesar was elevated to the statue of God. And Asherah means son of God. The European pharaoh wanted all Egyptians, we're talking all the black Egyptians, to call him God. But the black Egyptians did not like that idea. He was not like the true Egyptians. He was an outsider who came in. It was the Greek Alexander whose army took Egypt's thrones, who killed their pharaohs, imprisoned their people, slaughtered them, and thus it went from black to white and a European dictatorship. Not Alexander the Great. That term Alexander the Great is such BS. Just Alexander the Greek. And there's nothing great about a warmonger who slays man and beast. Just like another European butcher warmonger, General Dempsey of the United States, of the United Nations military. Here's your sign, General Dempsey. Send some of your little fucks after me. Why don't you? Huh? Motherfucker. Soter was a well-to-do friend to Alexander. And he took on the name Muriamon Setepenri. I think I'm pronouncing that word right. I think it's spelled Setepenre. And I think it's pronounced Setepenri. But Muriamon. Muri, and this is spelled M-E-R-Y. Muri means beloved. Amon means God. So, Setepenri means chosen by God. This is a European pharaoh who positions himself over a whole black nation and continent as a god. Soter took this name upon him. Soter took this name upon himself, loved and chosen by God, and he demanded that images be made of him and honored and worshipped. And when most black Egyptians did not like this, he began to have them slain. The ones Alexander the Greek didn't kill, except for those black Africans, black Egyptians, that feared for their safety and their lives, and they are the ones who agreed to call Ptolemy God and to serve him, to save their butts, like today's U.S. Rome, indefinite detention. Coming back with part 3.